If you have been following the lore of World of Warcraft recently, you are most likely familiar with the lore book called the Grimoire of the Shadowlands and Beyond. This lore book is similar to the Chronicles book that were released earlier, but this one specifically depicts the Shadowlands. It is also from the point of view of a broker, similar to how the Chronicles books are from the point of view of a Titan. Now there is a lot of interesting lore tidbits in this book and a lot of cool artwork, but one of the most important things that we can see in this lore book is a brand new cosmology chart, which according to this broker that wrote this book is the correct one. Today we will be analyzing the new cosmology chart as well as comparing it to the earlier cosmology chart that we got in the Chronicles Volume 1. So let's go. The basic gist of the new cosmology chart is the same as the old one. There are 6 cosmological forces, except in this cosmological chart the emphasis is placed on death and life. There are still the 6 cosmological forces, so order, shadow, life, disorder, light and death, with order and disorder being the opposites, shadow and light being the opposites, and life and death being the opposites. Now in the smaller circle in the middle there we can see the 5 elements: spirit, water, earth, air and fire, and of course decay, which is not counted as an element in World of Warcraft for some reason. However, this time these elements are tied to different cosmological powers, and also they are tied to a unique cosmological power. So for example, decay here is tied with death. However, in the old cosmological map it was tied with both death and the shadow. As you can see, all these orders seem to have changed. So now we got the decay, which is tied with death, air that is tied with light, fire that is tied with disorder, spirit that is tied to life, water that is tied to shadow, and earth that is tied to order. And of course, in the very middle we got the Great Cycle cosmological maps version of a reality plane that we got in the original cosmological map. The most important distinction, I think, is that here the Emerald Dream and the Shadowlands are not shown to be tied to the reality in the same way that they were tied in the old cosmological map. As you can see here on the old cosmological map, they're basically in the center of it all. However, here that doesn't seem to appear to be the case. However, it does use the same old artwork, so we can see both the Shadowlands and the Emerald Dream barely represented in this artwork in the middle. So okay, that's the basic gist of it. Now we will look at some interesting details that pop up all around this map. The most interesting of these details to me are the giant 2 snakes. You got this one skeletal snake and this snake that appears to be made of flesh. Now these snakes surround both the life and death plane and appear to be eating each other. As you can see below in the life plane we got the great fleshy snake running, or I guess chasing, the tail of the giant bony snake, while on the other hand, where there's death, you got the big skeletal snake chasing the tail of the fleshy snake. This of course is supposed to represent Ouroboros, the great snake that chases after its tail, and it's supposed to represent infinity and the cycle of life and death, which fits with the cyclical theme of this cosmological chart. Okay, so let's take a look at each circle separately. So at first we got death. Here in death we can see of course the arbiter taking the centerpiece of the circle. Also in front of the arbiter, or I guess the arbiter is holding it, is the symbol of Ouroboros, with the great Ouroboros snake once again being prevalent in this artwork. Another interesting thing are the chains. There are 4 chains that apparently hold the Ouroboros symbol or arbiter. Now these chains could represent the 4 covenants that are chaining, or I guess keeping, the Shadowlands in check, or maybe even chaining the jailer. Another alternative could be that they are in fact keeping the Shadowlands chained down. As the jailer himself says, death was never meant to be chained, so these could be the actual chains of domination that the jailer wants to break. Arbiter apparently has some connections to the jailer, even to the point where the jailer claims that the Arbiter stole this big circle thing that is his heart, I suppose, or I guess the thing that made him Thanos, basically. Okay, so next up we got light. Now nothing special about light, it's just a big kaboom boom. I'm not sure what else to say about it. There are some beams everywhere. It looks like a big bang of some sort. I guess this could represent the time light and void were in conflict, and that's what gave birth to reality, if that even is the accurate lore at this point. I suppose that the first one had something to do with it, but we just don't know, as the lore in the Chronicles Volume 1 was written from the point of view of the Titans. Next up we got Disorder. Now this just brings back nice memories of the Burning Crusade, Legion, and of course Warcraft 3. We got the big Legion logo that they use, and behind it we got a giant fell river giving you PTSD from leveling up in Hellfire Peninsula. Other than that, we got a bunch of demons below, most notably this Infernal on the left. He seems angry about something, but I guess you would be too if you were made of stones and burning up all the time. On the very bottom of the cosmological chart, as I said earlier, we got the life plane, and of course these seem to be representing Ardenweald for some odd reason. Now Ardenweald is of course a realm of death, but for some reason on this map it is represented in the life plane. For whatever reason, there are even the fauna of Ardenweald present, such as the Ardenweald stags and the Ardenweald vulpines. Now I'm not sure about the tree. I suppose that could be the heart of the forest, but that wouldn't make much sense considering it's the realm of life. Now, you could consider Ardenweald to be a realm of rebirth for the wild gods, and I suppose you could say that, but I'm not really sure this is Ardenweald, and I think this is the glimpse into what many content creators these days call the Lifelands, and it could have some ties to Ardenweald. So what this tree could be actually could maybe be something along the lines of Yggdrasil from the Norse mythology. Now, I'm not 100% sure about that. This could just be the heart of the forest and I'm speaking out of my ass. But we just have to wait and see. Now, on to the left we got the Shadow Realm, and of course a great big planet with tentacles, because nothing says Void Lords like tentacles protruding out of a planet. This artwork might be familiar to you if you have ever raided throughout Nighthold back in Legion. There is this boss called Star Augur, and during the fight he will show you a vision of like these planets that are totally corrupted by the void, issuing us a warning that the Burning Legion is actually correct in what they're doing, and that the citizens of Suramar are correct in siding with the Burning Legion, or I suppose the loyalists of Suramar. They reused the same artwork here, and I must say this artwork is great. I love it. It represents the shadow amazingly. Imagine if you had this thing somewhere on your planet, like you would freak out. So it's not a good look. Definitely not a good look. And that's Shadow. And at last we got Order, and they're just this big like cog thing and some circles that are on fire, and also some other things around it which I'm not sure what they are. These of course represent the Order, and this definitely looks like something you could see, say, in Ulduar, that has that Titan aesthetic. And also it's not actually a circle, it's a thing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 12 angles.
No, that's a lot of angles.
So that's what we got for the Titans. Now another important distinction of this cosmological chart to the previous cosmological chart is that it doesn't actually show who are the servants, or I suppose the wielders of these powers, as well as it doesn't show which type of magic those beings wield. For example, in the old cosmological chart, at the order section, we could see that they use arcane magics, and that the users of the order and the arcane magics, to an extent, are titans. Here, we don't have that. That must have been done for some reason. This broker apparently says that this cosmological chart is correct. Now, that could be true. It's not much different to the old one, but it puts emphasis on death and life, which makes sense, as I suppose he is a bit biased. And also you have to remember that these are brokers, so we can't really trust them 100%. And even this book, Grimoire of the Shadowlands and Beyond, is not to be trusted 100%. But this book is worth getting just for the artwork. I mean, look at this, some amazing art pieces that we have photos of. This will be interesting to see further. I'm definitely getting this book, and I will have to explore some more, and if I find something interesting, you can bet that I will be making a video about it. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.